Okay, so what we're going to do here first is we're going to remove the top diaphragm cover with the needle in it. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this and set this aside. You don't actually want to get carb cleaner or any cleaner on this because it can actually deform the diaphragm on the inside. And if it does deform, you need to let it out and set it in the sun and let it dry. But there's just 2 screws on the top. There should be a spring in here. Yep, right there. And actually what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a flashlight and look for pinholes inside the diaphragm. So be very careful when you're pulling this diaphragm out. You know, this 4-wheeler is, well, 2005. It's 2019, 14 years old. So, and sometimes these can, they get hard and can develop little cracks and holes in them. And if you shine a light on the back of them like this, you'll see the light protruding out the front of it if there's holes in it. And then you've got other problems if that's the case. I think we're good. We might get real lucky here and not have to replace this. So we'll go ahead and set this aside. I'm not sure if this is a factory needle or not, so I'm going to have to, you know, look into that a little further here in a second. Now what we were going to do is going to remove, and I was afraid of this. God damn it. This is why I don't like working on all this. You know, I used to buy junk like this when I was younger, and what's happened is the screws on the bottom of the bowl are all damaged. So I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get this out of here. And a lot of people will say, well, you need to turn them by hand. Well, in my experience, going with a drill here on low setting with the proper screwdriver will break them loose. You'll round them out. Even worse when you remove them. However, when you do reinstall the screws back into the carburetor, just make sure that you do it by hand, because you've got steel screws going into a aluminum body, so they don't need to be super tight. And this one here is just severely damaged. God damn it. Throw this screw right in the trash. For some reason I can't find my easy out kit, so this was just, I had to turn this Phillips head screw into a flathead. Unbelievable. Take a look at that. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Okay, so after getting that damaged screw out, we'll go ahead and, oh my God. Oh my God. That is by far the worst carburetor I have ever seen in my entire life. That ain't no joke. Take a look at this. This is what happens when you don't take care of your fuel and let this thing sit for 3 years. This is just, oh my God. I'm going to end up back at the Suzuki dealer. I told him I was worried about this carburetor. Oh my God. Well, I bet it does have a rough time starting. Look at this. This is ethanol breakdown in the fuel. This is why I'm not a big fan of ethanol fuel. The farmers have kind of put a monopoly with the government on this to add all this ethanol to the fuel. When the ethanol separates from the gas, it actually will pull water in, and then the gas will corrode, and this is junk. Usually you have a couple jets that are just plugged. This is just awful. This is the worst carburetor I've ever seen in my life. Well, as you can see in those pictures, I was not expecting this. I'm not so sure I'm going to have to go get a parts cleaner bucket and soak this carburetor and take this carburetor completely apart. And I'm going to be honest with you, for the price of these carburetors that I can get on eBay, I'd really just rather buy a carburetor. But now, ready for the sales pitch, Amsoil dealer number 5541460, gasoline stabilizer. Will stop this from happening for up to a year. Quick shot will clean all these jets out while you're running it and make sure that the ethanol does not break down for up to 6 months if you store it. This is just a mess. I mean, good googly moogly. After opening up that carburetor, this whole gas tank needs to be dumped and cleaned out. So I've got a little bit of carb cleaner sitting inside the float or inside the gas bowl. So we'll just let that set to begin with. That's, I don't know how long that's going to set for. And then I'll just dump all this gas out. I was not expecting this. And what we'll do now is we'll just let it all drain through. I'll fill it back up and then I'll just let it drain again. Okay, well, I'm going to attempt to start taking some of these jets out of here. Oh my God, look at this. It won't even break loose. It's going to pull the whole assembly out of it. Huh. I wonder why this this four-wheeler won't run. Look at this. Oh my God. You gotta see it looks like sand in there. Okay, moving on to the next jet. Completely plugged. Oh my God. Oh my God, the float is stuck in it. Okay, so I actually had to drill out the float and the float assembly, and I didn't want to put that on camera because I do not recommend it. I took a gamble and I got it to come out, but it was severely stuck. If I wouldn't have got it to come out, I basically probably would have had to buy another carburetor, but I got it to come out, so I'm going to set the new one back in there. I'm not 100% sure that it's going to seal, but I will tell you this. I bought this kit off eBay, and it appears that some of these parts are not equivalent to the OEM parts that are in here, so you need to watch what you're doing when you're buying these rebuild kits, because some of the jets do not fit or align properly with the holes. So you need to make sure that you get a good quality jet carb rebuild kit. But I'm going to go ahead and set that in there. But that was really damaged. I was really lucky to get that out of there, and then we'll just keep moving forward here. You're just going to set your housing in there like that for your float, and then you're going to press down on it and get it to set in there. This carburetor was so gunked up, I can't believe he even got it to run. And you're going to want to line the housing up for the float, not the float, the needle in there with the screw that you removed to hold this into place. There's also an O-ring seal. You're going to want to go ahead and put a new O-ring on there. And once you get your you're just going to press in the housing. Then we'll put our screw back on top. Now that you have your needle installed, your needle housing, we will install the new needle and reinstall our float. Now when you go to put this diaphragm in with this needle, it's super important for that needle to line up and go directly into the carburetor. And this carburetor, I'm going to be real surprised if I'm going to get this thing to run properly. And just kind of run your finger around and make sure that the diaphragm is inside the grooves for the cap. And then you'll put your cap back on, because you don't want to pinch this diaphragm with the lid. Then we'll reinstall the screws. The cap I got apparently backwards. There we go. Well, we're going to run into one problem here, and that's the spring for the choke. Without me being able to go to town and get a new spring, which I'm doubting that they have, and I don't have any springs, I'm actually going to clip this and get this mangled part out of here and reinstall. There is a little bit of an adjustment on the choke cable. I'm hoping I can manipulate it so he can still use the choke. If not, we'll just go from there, and I may just go to a pull choke on the carburetor for him. So you don't even have to mess with this cable and all this extra stuff that doesn't need to be there. What I'm actually going to do now is go ahead and install the throttle cable onto the assembly, and we're going to run this wire in and then put the little brass tab in, and then go ahead and install this, so then I can just run this onto the quad. What you want to do is go ahead and feed the line through, take the brass tab and put it over the line, and then feed the brass tab over the lead notch. And I would just go ahead and open this and get the wire onto the race for the wire, and then just move your cable. Get your cable put on, and then just push it in. Make sure to lube that cable before you install that. And as for the choke, what I'm going to do on the choke is we'll go ahead and put the choke. The choke will be put back on once I get this on the carburetor, and I was able to kind of straighten the spring out a little bit, so I think we can reuse this spring, but man, it was mangled. Okay, well that's going to conclude this week. I just ain't got it in me to put this carburetor on here today. So next video will be gas tank install carburetor, and hopefully it'll run. A little worried about that carburetor. It is so gunked up. I don't know if it'll run, or it might run and then get clogged again, and I might have to take it back off. But yeah, we'll get that put back on there, get that gas tank on there, and thanks for watching, and check the links below. And I'm tired, hot, and sweaty. I'm out of here.